Overthinking is a habit, and it's one you can train your brain out of. Today, I'm going to walk us through a CBT or cognitive behavioural therapy process to stop the spiral, step by step. Let's do it. First, what do I mean by overthinking? For me, it shows up as looping thoughts, replaying conversations, predicting disasters, or feeling stuck. CBT treats this not as who I am, but thoughts, feelings, and behaviors I learned, and therefore something that I can unlearn. I set a simple, measurable goal. For example, to reduce rumination from 90 minutes to 45 minutes a day within 8 weeks. I'll track it once a day. No judgment, just data. Next time I catch myself overthinking, I make a record of it with 5 columns: situation, thought, emotion, bodily sensation, and behavior. So here's a quick example. Firstly, situation. Perhaps I was scrolling through social media and I saw a friend's news of their success within their career. Secondly, the thought. Perhaps the thought that came to mind was, I'm not so happy in my job. I'd like to get a new job or promotion. Thirdly, the emotion. Rank this on a scale of 0 to 100. So, for example, anxiety, 80, or shame, 50. Next, body sensation. Perhaps I felt a squirming in my stomach, or a tightness in my chest, or some sort of tension in my jaw or forehead. And then finally, behavior or urge. Perhaps I headed to Google to look for a new job, or perhaps I text someone to ask for reassurance, or maybe I procrastinated. I start to label my thoughts. These labels are sometimes called cognitive distortions, and I'll go through a list of some examples now. All or nothing or black and white thinking. This is when I say something like, I failed at that task, therefore I'm a total failure. 2, overgeneralization. Something like, that didn't go well today, it's never going to go well. 3 is mental filtering. This is when 3 people pay me a compliment and 1 person says something bad about me and I focus on the bad thing. 4, discounting the positive. I might think to myself, that went well today, but anybody could have done it. 5 is jumping to conclusions. I might think to myself, my friend didn't text me back. They must be angry with me. 6, catastrophizing. I might think to myself, if I'm not perfect, everything's going to fall apart. 7 is emotional reasoning. This is something like, I feel worthless, therefore I am worthless. 8, should statements. I might think things like, I should always be productive, or they should treat me the way I expect. 9 is labeling. This is when I say something like, I failed at that task, therefore I'm a failure. 10, personalization. An example of this might be to think, that person looked at me funny, they must not like me. 11, mind reading. Similar to personalization. My friend looks upset, it must be about me. 12 is predicting the future. This is going to end badly, I just know it. And 13, comparative thinking. That person is doing this task better than I am, therefore I must not be good enough. I challenge the thought like a curious scientist. I might say things to myself like, what is the evidence for and against this? Or, if a friend said this to me, what might I say to them? Or am I confusing possibility with probability? Or What might be a more balanced approach to this? Or if the worst happened, how might I cope with it? An example of this might be if my boss on Friday calls me in for a chat on Monday, and my usual response is to think, I've done something wrong, I'm going to get fired. An alternative response might be, well, some chats are positive. Maybe he has some good feedback for me. Or if concerns are raised, I'll deal with them in the moment. After this, I then re-rate the emotion. So, for example, if anxiety was 80 before the thought, I then consider, what is it now? Perhaps it's 60, perhaps it's 40. Thinking changes faster when behavior changes. So I might be able to make some behavioral changes in order to help my overthinking. Some examples of this might be reassurance fasting. If I'm someone who often looks for reassurance, say by asking others about my ability or testing my ability in some way, I might look to, say, halve this on a daily basis. 2. Scheduling a worry time. I might schedule 15 minutes in the morning or in the evening to worry about things. Then if worries arise at other times during the day, I can say to myself, I won't worry about this now, I'll worry about it during my worry time. 3 is attention training. I might take 5 minutes on a daily basis to train my attention, say by focusing on sounds in the distance, in the middle distance, and nearby sounds. And this can help to flex the attention muscle, so to speak, which has been shown to help with overthinking. 4 is behavioural activation. Worrying or overthinking loves idle time. So I might start to fill my spare moments with small tasks like going for a walk, reading a book, talking to a friend, doing some emails, having lunch, in order to help my overthinking. And lastly, probability testing. I might write down what my feared predictions are and test the probability of them happening in real life. Most predictions tend to fail in the wild. I ask myself one question: is this solvable now? If the answer is yes, and it's a practical problem, I can then follow this 7-stage process. 1. Define the problem. 2. Brainstorm it and come up with 5 options. 3. Choose one option. 4. Plan the first step. 5. Schedule it. 6. Do it. And 7. Review it. If the answer is no, and it's a hypothetical what if, I can then postpone the problem or the overthinking to my worry time. I can then ground myself by breathing deeply into my belly and counting backwards from 5. Something else which can be helpful is building a daily routine. So, for example, when I wake up in the morning, I might do the attention training exercise I mentioned earlier. Then, throughout the day, I might start to track my thoughts. In the evening, I might schedule the worry window. And then at night before I go to bed, I might spend 60 seconds thinking about how long I ruminated for that day, what I did well, and what I could improve. Something else which can be helpful is to improve the environment around me. So some examples of how to do this might be to have a key card handy with the words pause, question, label, react on it, or by reducing the number of triggers in my environment, say by reducing my time spent on social media or turning off notifications for certain apps. And finally, by protecting my sleep. This can be done by creating a bedtime routine and not viewing news or social media before bed. This is not about being authoritarian. It's about giving myself the best chance I can at reducing my overthinking. Overthinking is not a character flaw. It's a habit that can be changed. With CBT, I'm not trying to stop my thinking. I'm trying to change the way I relate to it and what I do next. Track it, test it, train it. Your brain learns fast. And finally, this is meant as an educational video and not medical advice. If you're experiencing difficulty with things like depression, anxiety, OCD, or trauma, speaking to a licensed therapist can help.